The issue of prison reform in the form of education and vocational training has often been a neglected conversation in India. Today I'm speaking to Ms. Eleena George and Dr. Gauri Sharma, who are senior fellows of Turn Your Concern into Action Foundation and co-founders of Project Unlearn. Ms. George and Dr. Sharma, in coordination with their colleagues, have developed education and life skills materials to support literacy programs among inmates in Indian prisons. We will be speaking to them today about the curriculum that they are now teaching in Tihar Jail. So welcome, Gauri and Eleena. My first question to you guys would be, how did you get into this line of work and how long have you been involved?
Firstly, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I think I think it's a good platform for us to even talk about our project and the importance of reformation in a prison setting. So yeah, taking your question, I had not imagined myself working in the criminal justice system ever. This was soon after my post graduation when I got this opportunity to do a 2 months internship with this organization called TYCIA Foundation. And now it's been 3 years, I guess, yeah, more or less 3 years. And during this internship, I was introduced to this whole idea of creating a functional school inside the prison in jail number 5 in Tihar Jail. So I didn't really get a chance to go inside the prison then. I was working from the prison headquarters, and we were doing the need assessment and everything. So we had an interaction with the inmates. Little later, we had an interaction with the jail authorities and other staffs to understand, to get the whole picture of how the school should be set up. So my internship got over, but I wanted to work a little more with this organization on this project, and I decided to do a fellowship with the same organization. And that time, I got this opportunity to go inside the prison and start taking classes and teaching them. So the inmates are aged between 18 to 21 years old and all male. And I don't have a background in teaching or developing curriculum. So it was a year-long fellowship. And with all the learnings and experience I had with the prison, that motivated me to continue working till date for the criminal justice system. Yeah. Over to you, Hari.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. For me, it's a slightly different story. I have always been very interested, to understand the prison and to study the prisoners. So, and I got this opportunity during my master's time when I was doing my master's in social work, and I did my specialization in criminology and rehabilitation. But after that, I worked on like different issues like education and child labor, disability, and so on. But for me, it was always my bent was always towards working with the prison and the prisoners. So I decided to pursue my further studies, and I studied on the children of prisoners. Then I did my PhD on rehabilitation of prisoners. And that's when I got this opportunity to work with Turn Your Concern into Action. And yeah, so it was absolutely brilliant because I mean, I have done my PhD on rehabilitation, but as Eleena has already mentioned that we both are working inside Tihar Jail number 5, where I got this opportunity to understand the reformation aspect at the ground level, and from there on, build it towards the rehabilitation aspect, which is where like yes, Eleena and I, we both are working like towards building a curriculum for the inmates, as well as we've also started this new initiative which is named as Kunji, where we've created this booklet and a helpline for post-release support to prisoners. So yeah.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. So tell us a little bit more about the curriculum that you have designed. How is it different from the average school curriculum?
Like we said, we both of us, Gauri, I, and there was this colleague of mine, of ours, Tabish. Three of us started as fellows, and we did not have this background of teaching or education or making curriculum. And when we started teaching them inside, our whole idea was to engage them. When I say them, I mean the inmates for 2.5 hours or 1.5 hours max in a daytime. And in the jail, since the majority of the populations are under trials, so they are their stay in the prison is in minimum for one day or 2 day or a max of 3 to 4 years. So and in majority, like if I take an average, there's a population which will stay for 3 to 4 months. So we had to cater to them because we wanted them to take away something from our class. That's one. Second is since they are school dropouts, their attention span is pretty low. So, and they don't see value in education because they had left school because either their experience in the school was not good enough, or something must have happened that because of which they did not continue their schooling when they were outside. So, a common narrative which we hear in the prison is "bahar nahi pada to andar aake kya pad lenge," which is like common in the prison. So our whole idea was to make them realize the value of education and engage them in some discussion in so that they feel they are part of something and they can take a good memory from a prison. And we wanted prison to like prison is usually seen now the prison is seen as a correctional institution, and we wanted them to realize that this is just like a phase in their life where they can learn something and they can move out of the prison and go back to their life in a better form. So the curriculum is not book or textbook oriented. We have a lot of discussion that takes place. We ensure that we just go there as facilitators and not as teachers. There's a lot of games which we so these people have this tendency of playing cards. So they make 52 deck those cards from their own hand. So we realize that this is like a good opportunity for us to take those texts into an education curriculum. And we started playing cards with them. We started playing board games with them. They once we were able to attain their trust, they started sharing their stories and their cases with us. And gradually, we took their cases and their questions in a form of a comic book. So we started touching upon different topics like POXO, dowry, domestic violence, etc., all crime against women, because this was close to our heart as well. And we felt that this was really important for us to engage, to start a conversation on these topics. And we started teaching them through comic books. They started reading comic books. And so the common questions which they have were taken care of through class discussion. Yeah. Gauri, would you like to add something?
And I'll just like re-emphasize that, what really sets our curriculum apart is that I mean, we are, yes, we call it a school, but we are going in, like we're teaching adults over there who are 18 and above. And secondly, like, parts of our content or most of our content is based on their stories. So our entire, vision is that, I mean, we don't want to like teach them anything, but we're also like trying to help them internalize so that we can finally see a behavioral change in them, and that also reflects in like reduction of recidivism. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to add to that, so since they are adults, we cannot really teach them in any mainstream schools. So we started using like a whole word approach to teach them language. But the only twist is that we started using the vocabularies and terminologies which they are aware of, which they are familiar with, which is common in the jail setting. So for example, when we started teaching them Hindi alphabets, so the words which we use is "ka se coat," "cha se chaku," "ga se ganja," "per se parole," "per se pasi." So these are terms which is very common in a jail setting, which they live with, and it was easier for them to grasp these words, and through these words, they were able to understand the phonetics of the letters. And but like, we also ensure that through these classes we take them to a journey from क से कोट से, क से कक्षा, गांजे से गमला, चाकू से चम्मच. But the main idea is that we engage them in a way so that they feel they are part of the class, and they can take something away from our class once they leave the prison. So the curriculum is like a 90-day, it's designed in a way where in 90 days they can take something from our classroom. So yeah.
So, are the students cooperative now? Are they excited to learn? And what about prison authorities? Have they been cooperative?
Yeah, jail authorities have been really supportive, and I think it's only because of them that we were able to like even implement such a curriculum inside, start an initiative like this of starting a functional school inside the prison. And when it comes to the inmates, even when like there were times, yes, when they were not able to see the value in education, but there are students who wish to spend time inside a prison in a very different way than their usual days. So they, even if it is just 1.5 hours or 2 hours, sitting in the classroom talking to other inmates in a free space, creating, discussing about their cases, about whatever they feel like sharing, that in itself is quite encouraging for them to be part of the classroom setting. And yeah, and there have been incidents where, in fact, I'm sure Gauri would add it a little later. Like there are students who have joined us as facilitators, as peer fellows, because they liked what we did, and they took this as an opportunity to talk about it a little more with their fellows in their barracks and in the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah. So taking it ahead, in like when you go inside a prison, I mean, it's like you can see that yeah, they have a routine. They get up in the morning and they have to have the breakfast, do their chores, attend classes, or they have to attend to their work. But honestly, like each and every day in a prison is a different experience for us. And at the same time, the same students who come to our class, you could see that one week one student would be progressing really well, and the second week you would suddenly see him totally disinterested. So like definitely the students are very cooperative, they are respectful, and it's like how it's in any class. You'll have students who are a little naughty, you'll have students who are very sincere, and so it's like that. But at the same time, what we want to share again are there are a lot of these variables which affect even in our daily work. Like if there is no mulakat, you would suddenly see there's a dip in interest. But at the same time, like Eleena has already mentioned, that I mean the prison authorities are very cooperative, and it's because of their support and because of the other NGOs working with us. We all have been able to create this Better Life Prison School inside the prison. Yeah.
So, is there any experience that sort of stood out for you? Maybe one or more. If you can talk about a particular experience or experiences that really had an impact, or that you can, think of off the top of your head.
So yeah, they've been like many experiences. So like just on very general basis talking, when students they come up to us and they tell us that like besides like what we are teaching them in the classroom, but they come up and they share something about their life, and they try to connect it with our teaching. So that is also motivating for us. At the same time, as Eleena has already mentioned, that inside the prison we have selected like around 4 to 5 inmates, and they have now joined us as peer fellows, and they help us and support us in conducting the classes. So when we see them conducting the classes or the assessments, we feel really happy. But one of the things that has really struck me is when few of our students, they got released, but they came back to the prison. And when I met them, I was like, we were just generally talking, and they were like that, I mean, because For some people, it was like, they didn't get support. For some, they were like that there was some incident that happened and they were again picked up and now they're back inside the prison. So that really got us thinking that, I mean, yes, we all are working inside the prison on reformation. But at the same time, once they move out of the prison, this population suddenly gets forgotten because of
Yeah.
several reasons like stigma and taboo attached. So, yeah, so that was one thing. And that's why this rehabilitation initiative that we started, we just felt that, it will just help us bridge that gap. Yeah. So, Elena, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, I mean, um, I think since it's been 3 years now, and there are a lot of experiences which has stood out for us. The one being when I bumped into one of the students in a public place. Since, like I said, I don't have any experience of teaching, and when someone calls me ma'am in a public place, that was unusual. And when I turned, I recognized that this was one of my student in the prison, and then we had a long chat, and it was very different experience for me because I mean, like, prison is a dark place to be in, and when someone remembers you from the prison, it's quite motivating, and that was one. And now, though I have started, I casually bump into a lot of students now in metros, in restaurants, in other places.
That
So
sounds
so
very,
it's
very fulfilling, actually. Just hearing about it sounds like very motivating and very fulfilling. Please go
So,
on.
yeah, I know. Frankly, when I share this with other people, they get a heart attack when they say, "Oh God, you actually meet them now." I mean, how is it like prison? में तो समझ आता है. It's quite they are under surveillance, but are you sure you want to meet them outside and everything? But it's not that they're going to eat us, or if they are born criminals or anything of that sort. They are humans. They deserve a second chance, and they were
Yeah.
inside for whatever reasons. They I mean, society has a role to play here, and if we give them a chance to bloom, they will definitely make a society a safer place to live in. So it's a really good experience to bump into students now once they get released and get in touch with them. And that's one of the ways how we started Kunji. Us talking to them, getting to know what are their challenges, and when they share all of that with us, we are wanting to help them a little more so that we can handhold them once they get released. So, so yeah, that's one experience.
So, talking about, I think we definitely need to talk about, general populations and their attitudes towards inmates or, ex-convicts. We'll come to that later in the podcast. For now, I would like to ask you, I'm very curious as to what the typical classroom looks like. Like, if you can paint a picture for me, like, what are the objects present? Who are the people present in this classroom?
Yeah. So the thing is that with the support of the prison authorities and like the other organizations, so an entire ward has been converted into a school. So once you enter, there's a separate ward, and outside the ward, it's written over there, Better Life Prison School. And once you enter, there are like different classrooms that have been, allocated. So there is one which is a music class. They have one where's a dance class, an art class, and then life skills class. Then we have different classes where we conduct classes. And so all the organizations who are working, we all are inside the Better Life Prison School.
Mm.
Besides that, the classrooms look like any other class. Like if you enter, you would see there's a blackboard, or we have a whiteboard. Few of the classes have a projector. We have posters around. And so, yeah, so taking a step back, I'll just mention that, the prison authorities have helped us over here that they have divided the classes into morning, afternoon, and evening batch. And each batch has been divided, as per the prison records, as those who are not literate, semi-literate, and literate, and that's how the classes are conducted inside the prison. And each class is for like 2 hours, and within those 2 hours, we, with the help of our peer fellows, we've created a timetable, and where we teach them like different subjects. But as you had mentioned in the beginning, a lot of our focus is also on life skills. Then our curriculum, which talks a lot about the gender-based violence, because there are many inmates who have come in, due to probably some form of crime against women. So we have a lot of open discussions on that. So yeah,
And
it's like any other day. There are days where the students just don't want to study, so we have a lot of fun. They are very good at poetry, which I think Eleena will like take it ahead and she'll talk about it. So yeah, so Eleena, why don't you take this?
yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, adding to that, I still remember that during the internship, when the school was designed, changing an entire ward, which was a part of jail, into a school, we had invited inmates to paint the entire school. There are graffitis inside. So rather than calling, every room has a name. So we started with Nelson Mandela classroom. And the reason why we started calling it Nelson Mandela, because he has a history of being incarcerated in his life, but then he came out being like really like a superstar, and we wanted him to become the more like an idol for
Like a role
everyone,
model. Yeah.
and yeah, a role model for everyone, and that is how we divided these classrooms. There are benches, and the tables are low-lying tables, and there are daris. Now these tables and daris are again made in Tihar itself. So Tihar has around a lot of factories, and Tihar themselves helped us to create. The inmates themselves created these tables for themselves, and the students sit around them these tables. And since we have this multi-grade, multi-level approach, so the lot of activities are done. So they all help each other with whatever we are doing in the class. Yeah, it's lush green. Tihar is very beautiful when it comes to the appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in a
Please.
way, the students created the classroom for themselves with their own hands, and I think that's very symbolic, and it's amazing actually. The fact that they were actively involved in painting the room, creating the furniture. I think that definitely would have a role in also how they learn within that space.
Yeah, and in fact,
Yeah.
they also have uniforms. So
Oh,
to give
okay.
a feeling of classroom and school
Right.
setting, so they come in the morning, they wear the uniform, and they sit in the class, which they really love. And they also have the responsibility to wash it, to press it, and keep it back in the class. And that's how we teach them a little about discipline. How after the class they have to fold the uniform in a way and put it back to the place where it was taken from. And yeah, so there are different things through which we teach them a little bit about life. Yeah.
So let's talk about the people who are present. Like, how many students do you have, and how many teachers are present? How many peer educators are present? Are any of the prison authorities present inside the classroom during the class? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
In a classroom there are around 30-35 students, and we Gauri and I take separate classes. We have peer fellows who one peer fellow or two peer fellows who will be assisting us while we are taking classes. And there are jail authorities who come on rounds in between. There is a warden who is assigned for this particular ward, but they do not interfere in our classrooms, and we do not really wish them to interfere also. But our safety and everything is taken care of, and not that it's not unsafe or anything. It's absolutely safe. And I don't know about others, but at least we feel quite safe inside. And yeah, so there are jail authorities who keep coming on rounds, but they don't really interfere in our classes. And that's also because that's going to help the students to open up a little more, and that's one place where they are not under surveillance as such. So it's an open space for them to let out and share whatever they want to about their cases, about their lives, or whatever we are discussing. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes, please go ahead.
if in totality, if we see that we have like around 300 to 350 students like per day who
Hmm.
attend our classes. And at present, we have like four peer fellows, who are with us. I mean, the thing is that, I mean, because of the COVID situation, since mid March, we have also not been going inside the prison. But till mid March, yes, like we had 4 peer fellows, and per day we were like kind of interacting with 300 to 350 students.
And how many classes do each of you take in a day?
So,
Set
like,
of
how,
classes.
yeah, reset, yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
So there are three batches. One is in the morning, which is from 9:30 to 11. Then we have an afternoon batch, which is around from 12 to 2. Then we have an evening batch, which is from 2:30 or 3 to 4:30. Yeah,
Yeah,
depending
so
on when they get their meals.
All
so
right.
just adding over here, these batches also have been divided as the morning batch is usually the first timers who come inside the prison,
Right.
Mm.
and then the afternoon batch is the inmates who've been there for some time, and the evening batch is inmates who have again come back to the prison. So they
They are
reoffended
repeaters.
and they've
Mm.
re-entered the prison again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you have batches that are divided on the basis of both, people who have just entered the prison, people who have been here for a while, and also in terms of literacy levels. I think you said, those who are non-literate, those who are slightly literate, and those who are literate. So, is there any other sort of factor that goes into deciding who goes in which classroom?
We usually don't like it's not that these rules are like rigid. These
Okay,
parameters
a fairly
parameters are
flexible
rigid. Yeah,
situation.
but
Okay.
but yeah, we try to implement it. But other than that, there are students who wish to be part of our class sometimes, or who don't wish to sit in our class. Then they will move around and want to explore a music class today. So they will just shift there. So there's a very fluctuating class which would in a day. So we
And
don't
they
have like a
also
fixed.
the students also have the freedom to sort of do that, right? So, if they want to take a music class today and, maybe tomorrow they want to take a different class, there's a lot of freedom in those kinds of things, is there?
Yes, I mean usually they have to enroll themselves because
Right.
every organization have a set of curriculum which they wish to follow so that there's better impact. So it's better if they enroll themselves and stay there for a month or two. But there are few students who find their interest gradually in the prison, who find time to settle in first and then they try to explore. So that's when they want to shift to other classes and we let that happen. Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds very interesting. The curriculum itself, and we will have some images that you have shared with us. That we are very very grateful for that. Very interesting, and we want to share this with our audience. So after this, let's talk about the general population a little bit. Do you think the mindsets of people towards convicts and ex-convicts is it changing at all, or is this still this kind of attitude, that they are dangerous, they're unsafe, they shouldn't be out in the world? So what do you have to say about that from your personal experience?
So yeah, so we'll just start by saying that, I mean, uh, when we talk about prisoners, so they are basically like divided into two. So there would be one who are under trials, who are, I mean, they are still waiting. I mean, their trial is still going on. And then there are convicts who have been sentenced, or I mean, they have been proven guilty for the crime that they had entered in for. But I mean, what like usually like Elena and I and most of us keep discussing is that once a person sets their foot inside the prison, they are labeled as a prisoner forever. And the entire attitude of, I mean, generally the society and even like others who are working, in the development sectors, that there's very minimum priority that's given, for the welfare of the prisoners. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that there has been no change, but if you, in a way, compare it like with other issues, the change has just begun. So, I mean, especially like in our sector, people have started talking about prisoners' rights, and there have been like a few, like these Mandela rules and the Tokyo rules, which talk about the dignity of the prisoners, the rights of the prisoners. So all of that is happening, at the national and international level. But again, if you see from the priority perspective, it's not as high as what we when we talk about education or when we're talking about child rights. But then again, the perception of the society, I would say, I think that is still in process, because what we have seen from from our experience is that once a prisoner comes out of the prison, many a times they do not even reveal that they were inside the prison due to the sheer fear of the stigma or the opportunities that would be taken away. And also, the society has this that, if somebody has done crime or was involved in some anti-social activity,
Yeah.
that person deserves punishment and they should be sent behind bars. So, yeah. So, Eleena, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a prisoners and inmates are a neglected population worldwide, and the whole concept of prison, which is seen as a correctional institution, is not something which is accepted by everyone. I suppose, like even if we call prison a correctional institution, it does not behave as one, and people don't see this as one. Like like how exactly are we vouching that when a man or when a person enters the prison, what happens inside the prison, because of which we can vouch that the person is not going to commit a crime again or won't go back to his previous life again. So this is something which we need to focus on, and just putting them behind bars or is not going to help anyone. And like there has to be like a reformation process. They are not from a different world. Prison is not a different world. They are very much part of the society. They will come out today or tomorrow. So in order to make a society a better place, we need to invest a lot inside the prison. And there are research which says that every dollar spent on a prison education saves $4 to $5 on the cost of re-incarceration. I mean, there's a strong relation between education and the commitment of any crime against women. I mean, any sort of correctional education improves inmates' chances of not returning to prison, and that is why it is important to redefine prison as a concept, which is theoretically done brilliantly, but it has not reached.
In practice, it hasn't really happened. I think what you're saying is very, very important. I think as a society, we do need to move from a more punitive to reformative aspect. I mean, even though we say that we have in our practices, we have not really. So, if, even our laws are punitive, and then when a prisoner serves their time, and they come out, it seems that people's attitudes towards them continues to punish them for the rest of their lives. And that is definitely something that we need to change. That's very interesting. So regarding these, these educational programs, I mean, that can go a long way towards long-term change for prisoners themselves. Do you think the rest of India is also taking notice and coming up with similar curricula, or are these are very intermittent programs that are happening, like for example your program and maybe a couple of other programs?
So there are a lot of organizations. When I talk about Tihar itself, there are a lot of organizations, and number of organizations are working for the reformation and reformation of the prisoners. So if not in the field of education per se, like we are trying to do, but there are they do cover life skills. There are organizations working for drug de-addiction or life or skill education programs. So there are some kind of correction education programs that are being run by organizations around the world, but like we in our capacity also have tried to reach out to a lot of organizations, because we don't really wish to keep this curriculum to ourselves. We want to give this away to as many inmates and prisons and possible. So we have tried to reach out to prisons in Punjab, where and they are very eager to have this curriculum with their inmates. We have tried to reach out to a very good organization in Bombay called Prayas. It's a very old organization who's doing a wonderful job with inmates and criminal justice system. So we got an opportunity to talk with them and introduce our project. So we are always eager to find collaborations with organizations working in this field. Yeah.
So efforts are being made to scale up this current curriculum. You guys are constantly making efforts to scale it up and
Yes.
have it in as many prisons as possible. That's wonderful. This has been a wonderful conversation. My final question to you would be, both Eleena, Gauri, both of you, what are your future plans in this area of work? What do you have planned, say, for 5 years from now? What are you expecting? What are you expecting will come out of this? What will you be doing, say, 5 years from now?
Gauri will definitely add, talk about Kunji. I mean, one of the things that we realized after taking classes inside is that so these are inmates who are behind bars, and our whole idea is to reduce recidivism rate and to reduce crime. So, in order to reduce crime, we just want to prevent them from coming to prison. So we want to start this whole curriculum, this whole engagement from the community level itself. So we have recognized those communities where crime propensity rates are pretty high, from those communities where the inmates come usually and often, and so we want to tap onto those communities in school, introduce our curriculum, talk about crime against women, talk about the legal aspect, and prevent young adults from committing such crime, because a lot of them also end up committing crime because they were unaware that they were doing that, or they
Right.
were so we want to prevent them from getting into any such activity and inform them about such, yeah, such crimes. Yeah, but that's one. And Gauri, you can talk about Punji.
I would definitely
Yeah.
like to hear about Kunji a little bit more.
So, yeah, taking this ahead and discussing about Kunji, like how we've already mentioned, it's a post release booklet, which we are trying to convert it into a helpline. And this was like another colleague of ours called Tabish, who actually started with this thing that he was interacting with the released prisoners, and they started sharing the challenges, the areas in which they face challenges, such as mental health and legal aid, employment, and so on. So this entire idea, was then like formed into a booklet, which is now getting converted into a helpline. And in this, we are trying to get in like a lot of organizations who are working in these different themes. So, yes, the future plan is that we already have a first draft of our booklet, and right now we are in the process of, designing our helpline. We want to like launch it as soon as possible, because we have seen that in the recent times also, especially now, like during this entire COVID situation, there have been like 3,600 inmates who got released from the Delhi prisons. But in the recent report, it's been coming that there have been like, a significant population which is getting rearrested. So now one needs to understand that why are they getting rearrested is because of the lack of opportunities. So, and we feel somewhere this Kunji, the helpline, is going to like provide them that support. Also, when we are talking about, building awareness in the society, so we are trying to get in a lot of organizations to come in to support us and to support these released prisoners. So this way we are interacting with a lot of people, we're reaching out to a lot of people. So this is our immediate plan. And then if you're talking about say 2 years or 5 years down the line, we want to definitely scale this up, and we want to take it to different states so that we can reach out to maximum number of released prisoners. And 5 years down the line, I'm really hoping that, there will be some sort of a change, a positive change where the society, as well as, different CSOs will start accepting released prisoners and understand that everyone who goes inside the prison is not a criminal. There are certain acts which happen due to situation,
Right.
and every under trial has not done a criminal offense, and we cannot label them as criminals. So
Yeah.
yeah, so probably 5 years down the line, say like we have these sustainable development goals. I think with our efforts and the other organizations who are working in the area of prison, we guys
Right.
will be able to, bring about the importance of prison and prisoners in those sustainable development goals. So yeah, so this is like our vision in the coming years.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds amazing. Best of luck to you guys, and definitely follow your work, and you're doing amazing work, and we would love to follow your work, help out in any way. And I would like to ask our audience as well to reach out if they can collaborate, help, participate in any way at all. Thank you so much for doing this for us. It's a wonderful opportunity for us. It's a very important discussion that I think we have had today, a discussion that needs to go forward. So thank you so much.